Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in China for a three-day visit. Modi, who is undertaking his first visit to the communist nation as Prime Minister, reached the ancient city of Xian this morning. Now, Xian is the hometown of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Soon after his landing, Modi was welcomed by a cultural group with a traditional dance at the airport. The meeting at Xian is being seen as a reciprocal gesture by the Chinese leader, who was hosted by Modi in Ahmedabad when he visited India in September last year. The Prime Minister is accompanied by National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar and other senior officials. Modi will visit many cultural sites in Xian today, including Terracota Warriors Museum, the Xian Temple. Prime Minister will hold restricted talks with President Xi Jinping in the afternoon and will leave for Beijing in the night. On Thursday, he will hold crucial talks with his Chinese counterpart Li Keqiang. Before leaving for China, PM Modi expressed confidence that his trip would deepen mutual trust and upgrade bilateral economic ties between the two Asian giants. Faced with irritants like the boundary issue and China's plan for infrastructure projects in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Modi will have a tough task as he meets the Chinese leadership. Ahead of Prime Minister Modi's arrival, Chinese Foreign Ministry has said that boundary issues between the two countries cannot be solved overnight.
मुझे विश्वास है कि चीन की मेरी ये यात्रा भारत और चीन के संबंधों को ही आगे बढ़ाएगी ऐसा नहीं, लेकिन पूरे एशिया को और दुनिया के सभी डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज के लिए एक नया सीमा चिन्ह बनेगा, ऐसा मेरा विश्वास है। चीन और भारत मिलकर के शांति और स्थिरता का संदेश मजबूती के साथ दें, ये समय की मांग है।
Let's quickly cut across live now to Smita Sharma joining us from Xian in China. Morning, Smita. It's very, very interesting what is happening diplomatically in China. We have seen that Prime Minister Modi broke from protocol, took the Chinese president to Ahmedabad, and perhaps the same favor or the same gesture is being reciprocated in China.
Absolutely, and in fact, it's a ni hao sanket to you as well as to all the viewers of Headlines Today here from Xian, of course, in China, where the action is at the moment. Clearly, as you mentioned, of course, we saw that unique, in fact, photo opportunity in a way when President Xi Jinping had visited Ahmedabad in Prime Minister Modi's home state of Gujarat last year, sitting there on the swing with the First Lady, also that walk around Sabarmati riverfront. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, one of the signature styles that we have seen is every time he has either received a visiting dignitary or he's gone abroad, is he's tried doing the talks in a little different way, be it, of course, sitting in the Hyderabad House lawns, taking a walk around with the US President Barack Obama, and doing that chai pe charcha in a tent, outside in the, of course, lawns of Hyderabad House, or feeding those fish traditionally when he was with Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, in Kyoto. But clearly, there is more than meets the eye, Sanket. Remember, of course, Xi Jinping also hails from Shaanxi province, which today, in fact, is considered a very, very strong province given its political connections. Three of the top leaders in the party today, in the Communist Party today, who are members of the bureau as well. In fact, they belong to Shaanxi and they are supposed to be the left and right arms of the President Xi Jinping. We were, in fact, going around Xian yesterday, and there is the story of development that one can see, especially in terms of infrastructure, in terms of basic facilities. But of course, the focus is always about getting the atmospheric side, especially when you have these kind of summit-level meetings. But it's about really what you take away from these meetings that everybody watches. For now, let us just also inform the viewers that President Xi Jinping, in fact, there's a slight delay in the program. He was abroad and he's traveling, so he's taking a little more time to come into Xi'an. But it's really at 3:30 this afternoon when President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi will enter into restricted talks. And in fact, then the two leaders will actually take a walk around one of the historical sites, which is the Wild Goose Pagoda in Xi'an, before, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi goes back to Beijing late this evening. Sanket?
That's right. I was meaning to ask you the itinerary. What all can one expect through the course of the day today as far as Narendra Modi is concerned when he is in Xi'an? Just take us through, very elaborately what actually is his program today.
Well, it's 9:40 here as far as the local time is concerned. We are 2.5 hours ahead of the India time. So in another 20 minutes, we are expecting Prime Minister Modi to step out of Shangri-La Hotel where he's staying and head to the Terracota Warriors. It is one of the most beautiful sights one can really witness. It's a historical site, and there are of course these baked earth clay figures, the figurines in fact larger than life in fact figurines. So Prime Minister Modi is supposed to take a walk around there. Then, of course, there is a visit to one of the historical temples. Remember, all throughout, in fact, his journey, wherever he's gone, Prime Minister Modi, in a lot of countries, he has focused on that the common thread of Buddhism as well, with separate some of the countries that India has shared. He in the Xian temple, in fact, that visit will happen around 12 o'clock this afternoon, local time. Following which he will be going to the Shaanxi guest house. There, of course, that big restricted talks really with Xi Jinping, who is the ultimate power authority. And this will, in a way, set the tone and tenor, of course, for the structured dialogue that Mr. Modi will be having with the Chinese Premier, Mr. Li Keqiang, in Beijing, in fact, later tomorrow, following the ceremonial reception as well. There is also the traditional Tang Dynasty really welcome ceremony. He will be taking a walk around the ancient city wall. Remember, Xian used to be a former capital of Imperial China. At least 13 dynasties have made it its political and cultural capital over the years. Today, of course, it has bustling industrialization, something the kind of images that we see from Gujarat as well, which is Narendra Modi's home state. So, and then there is that traditional dinner banquet, and then, of course, Mr. Modi flies back to Beijing later in the night, Sanket, for the later part of his tour.
Smita Sharma, many thanks for joining us at this moment. Of course, on your screen right now, you can see that there is a cultural program that has been performed for the Prime Minister as he's waving to the crowds over there. It's going to be a high-octane trip here, this one for Narendra Modi to China. Apart from the song and dance, we are also expecting a lot of discussions, bilateral discussions that are expected between the two nations. What actually going to come out of it, whether it is going to be good for trade, whether there will be any resolution whatsoever to the long-standing border dispute, all that and much more is expected through the course of the next 3 days.